Hi, so today I've got someone in, she's full head blonde. She normally box dyes her hair blonde at home, but today she wants to break it up a little bit and go for more of an ombre. She still wants all the ends to be bright blonde, she doesn't want any brown through the ends. Our natural colour is at level 7, so I've mixed up a 7-0, 7-7-3 and some 7-1. And then I'm just taking baby fine weaves up her full head. I'm not taking it all the way through the ends because I want to keep those ends as blonde as possible. I'm sort of painting it on in an upside down V, and this is because when you go in to do a balayage, I paint in V's, so that way that there's depth in the middle but you're pushing the lightness towards the face and towards the sides of the head. Whereas because we're doing the opposite today and doing a reverse balayage, I'm doing the opposite of that, so I'm doing it more of an upside down V, which you'll see the more I go on and do it. I've also missed out the entirety of the hairline at the back, and that's because she still wants to feel blonde when she pulls it over her shoulders or when she ties it up. Obviously when you're highlighting, you pack them in around the hairline, but we're doing a reverse balayage, so we're doing everything backwards. So we're completely avoiding that so we can leave it as blonde as possible, but we're putting all the low lights in the middle. I was also sure I put quite a lot of warmth in my low light formula, because if you don't and you put like a darker colour over blonde, it can go quite like wishy-washy, even slightly khaki. Now it's only a level 7, so I don't think it would have went green or anything like that, but it also doesn't last as long. You need that warmth in there for the colour to really grab. So I did put a bit of warmth, well, quite a bit of warmth in there to make sure the colour is as nice as possible. I'm also taking them down like different amounts of the way, so some of them I'll take down half the way, some of them I'll take down 3/4 of the way. That's just so she doesn't have like a harsh line where that brown finishes. It's all going to be different so it all looks dead natural. A little tip for when you're doing this as well, if you're a bit scared you're going to get any harsh lines or anything, you can also take a bowl and a brush of conditioner, and once you're finished putting the low light on, you can blend the conditioner like down into the ends a bit more. That way you can be sure it's going to blend as best as it possibly can without getting any lines or anything. I'm also not folding the foil in half, I'm placing another foil on top of it. That's just to make sure that we don't get any big brown splotches through the ends where we don't want any brown. The closer to the top of the head that I get, I'm not taking it down as far. Again, this is because when you're doing a normal balayage, at the top of the head, that's where you take the highlight up the highest. So to mimic that, I'm just going to take the low light down even like less than what I have been, just to keep it as bright as possible where she can see it the most. And coming around the face, again, I've left out a big section around her face because that's where we would be doing a money piece if we were using bleach. And I've also left a little bit of space above her ear as well, just so when she ties it back or when she brings it over her shoulder, she still feels nice and blonde. And with the low lights, I'm not taking it down far next to her face, but I'm taking it down further towards the back of her head, so sort of like a slant. It's higher towards her face and lower towards the back. Again, this is just so she's as blonde closest to her face as possible, and the depth is going towards the back of her head, just to make sure she's as bright as possible around the face when she brings it over her shoulder when she ties it back. I repeated myself far too much there. I just love the sound of my own voice apparently. You get the point though. When I'm blending the colour down as well, I'm turning the brush vertical and I'm just painting downwards and feathering downwards. When I'm feathering downwards as well, I'm not overthinking it and I'm not overdoing it. If you try to overblend, you're going to give yourself more of a harsh line because you're overdoing it. Don't overthink it, just do it a few little times and that'll be fine. And again, on the top couple of sections, I'm not taking it down as far. I'm just taking it like maybe a quarter of the way down, that's it, just to keep it as nice as blonde as we can at the top. So after washing it all out, I'm now going to go through and do a root melt. I'm not sure if it was obvious when I was doing the low lights, but she has an ever so slight warm band on her root just from where she's been doing her colour at home. So I'm taking a 7-1 and a 7-0 and I'm just painting down past that line, and then I'm going to comb it down just to blend it into the rest of her hair. Then it's going to look like she's got dark roots, The mids are a little bit darker because those low lights are there, and then the ends are going to be nice and blonde, so it's going to fade from dark to light. With your root melt formula, you can always go half a shade to a full shade darker than your low lights. That's just so it all blends seamlessly from darker into slightly lighter into really blonde. So I did a 7-1 and a 7-0, no 7-7-3, just because I don't want to make our roots even warmer. I do sort of wish now that I did put a little bit of 6 in just to cover that little warm band slightly better, but that's alright, we'll live, we'll learn. So I went in with a 7-1, 7-0, but for yourselves at home you can make it slightly darker by putting a bit of 6 in. But it's always good to match it to your client's natural colour, and then if you need to, just put a slight little drop of something darker in. My root melt and my low lights were all semi-permanent dye as well, not permanent, just because some clients who are used to being blonde, when they go dark they want to change it back to blonde, so this just makes it a bit more easier to remove. Now with the front, I'm doing it vertically, and with every single section that I'm taking it down less and less further. This is just so to make sure we've got the most depth in the back and the least depth towards the face. So it's going to look like a teardrop effect. It's going to be nice and blonde and high up around our face, but it's going to be a little bit lower towards the back. This is just the way you would balayage naturally. You'd keep it lower in the back and then higher around the face. So because we're doing a reverse balayage, I'm putting the depth back in, but leaving it blonder towards our face and higher towards the back. I'm just taking it down less and less further the closer I get to the front, and I'm going to completely avoid the very front. And the processing time for your root melt is 20 minutes. So with semi-colours, you have to leave them on 20 minutes. And normally with your toner, you may take it off a bit sooner. But with a root melt, you can't. You need to leave it on the full time. This is just to make sure it covers all them little lines and make sure like you can't see any lines or imperfections or anything like that. And when I come to tone the ends, I leave the roots on for about 10 minutes first, and then I'll put the toner on, just because sometimes the toner can grab and then you think, I need to wash this off. But like I say, you need to leave those roots on. So I'll leave the roots on for 10 minutes first, and then I'll go through with the toner and melt it in, and then comb it all together to blend. And our end toner was just a 10-1-2 with 1.9%. It was quite blonde anyway, so I didn't want to make it too ashy. And also when you wash the low lights out, the brown colour can run into the blonde and it tones it for you anyway, so you don't want to overtone the blonde, because then by the time the low lights have came out and it's toned the blondes that way as well, it can be a little bit too dark, a little bit too ashy. You can also add some gold into your formula to stop that from happening, because you don't want to do all that lightening for it then to look too dark afterwards. And this is the finished result. So it goes from dark into slightly lighter in those mids, into a lot blonder on those ends. Just a nice seamless balayage. This is one of my favourite things to do, reverse balayaging. Thank you.